I'm glad we got you on. This is great. So let's dig right into it. You have a huge case, and there was supposed to be some news today. Can you just briefly tell us what the case is about and give us any news you have?
Yes, so this is a case out of California. It was, it's, I can't even believe what happened actually. A student, a high school honor student, a ninth grade student, was kicked out of school earlier this year. He's now supposed to be in 10th grade, but still hasn't been allowed back in. He was kicked out of school in Ventura, California, because he asserted a religious exemption to vaccinations. He had been allowed to remain in school previously when the religious exemption, the personal belief exemption in California was repealed in 2015. Students were allowed to remain in through their checkpoints. So his next checkpoint was at 7th grade. His mother had submitted proof of homeoprophylaxis immunizations that she was using, and they accepted that. The school nurse accepted that. But it wasn't until they did an audit earlier this year, or actually in December of last year, that the state discovered he didn't have the traditional vaccinations that are required under California law, and they expelled him from school. This is an honor student. They gave him all failing grades, expelled him from school, and then this is unbelievable. The prosecutor, the Ventura County District Attorney, went after the parents for truancy charges, criminally charging the parents, even though they created the problem. The parents didn't keep their son out of school. They wanted to send him to school. Luckily, we were able to get the truancy charges dropped because, we asserted a First Amendment challenge, and it's pretty clear that they were hostile to this child's religious beliefs, even criminally prosecuting the parents for their religious beliefs. That's not allowed in this country. This is not North Korea. Okay, we are supposed to have the right to our religious beliefs and the free exercise of religion. We now have filed an emergency petition because we were not able to get emergency relief from the district court or the Ninth Circuit. So we now have an emergency petition at the U.S. Supreme Court. And in kind of a stunning move, we really weren't expecting this, Justice Kagan ordered a response, because she's the justice that you have to go through with the Ninth Circuit to get an emergency petition heard. Some people asked her, well, why are you going through Justice Kagan? She's not, they don't think she's going to be friendly to our cause. We don't have a choice, okay? When you have an appeal, an emergency appeal from the Ninth Circuit, she's the justice assigned to the Ninth Circuit. And actually, believe it or not, these things don't always come out the way you would think along party lines. In 2011, there was a vaccine injury case. You're probably familiar with it, Brucewitz versus Wyeth. And Justice Scalia actually ruled against the parents seeking compensation through the vaccine injury compensation program for their daughter's very serious vaccine injury. And the conservative majority actually ruled against against the parents. And who wrote the dissent along with Justice Ginsburg? Sonia Sotomayor. So, and Justice Kagan, by the way, it recused herself because she was the U.S. Solicitor General involved in that case at the lower level. So she was a justice at that time, but wasn't involved. But the point is, she ordered a response. She ordered Ventura and the state of California to respond by today. They did file their response last night. I've had a chance to read it. They're claiming the Supreme Court doesn't have jurisdiction. Personally, I think they might have to go back and do some reading, because the Supreme Court has plenary jurisdiction when it comes to appellate matters. So when it comes to appeals, they have jurisdiction. They can take a case actually from the Ninth Circuit. They can take a case that's there and hear it themselves, sua sponte, they call it, on their own. So they have great authority. We strongly disagree with that. We'll see how it comes out. But I think it's a good sign that Justice Kagan asked for a response from the state and from Ventura County, because Ventura schools, because it shows this case is being taken seriously.
Yeah, is this the first time that a case like this has come before this, or potentially has come towards the Supreme Court?
So again, they haven't officially decided to take it, but we did have a case before the Supreme Court on the same issue a year ago. And unfortunately, they didn't take that one. We don't know for sure, but we feel it came pretty close, because the last time we had a religious exemption vaccine case before them, which was in 2021. Governor Kathy Hochul, if you remember, of course you remember, she said that healthcare workers do not have religious freedom. They're not allowed to use religious exemptions. They don't have their First Amendment right to free exercise of religion. She banned religious exemptions in the entire state of New York for healthcare workers. We filed a case that went to the Supreme Court, and 3 justices would have voted to take it up. We needed a 4th. So in order for the Supreme Court to take your petition, you need 4 justices. So Gorsuch, Thomas, and Alito would have, and they actually issued a written statement explaining that they wanted to take our case. But unfortunately, we didn't get the 4th. Last year, we suspect, although we don't have an official vote tally, the same thing happened with our Connecticut schools religious exemption case. Now here we are bringing it another time, and it's being taken very seriously. A response has been ordered from the state. I mean, they could have just, Kagan has the authority. She could have just very quickly dismissed this out of hand, said there's no jurisdiction, we're not even going to hear it. She didn't do that. She said, I want a response by October 1st from California. So they are looking at this carefully. And if this gets taken up, Mary, this is going to be groundbreaking. This would restore religious exemptions. Not only, it has the potential, let me say this, to restore the religious exemption, personal belief exemption on a religious basis for the state of California families, but also for the families in New York and in Connecticut and in Maine and actually in West Virginia, which for all intents and purposes doesn't have a religious exemption either. So you're talking about 20% or more of the nation's population that does not have their First Amendment right to free exercise of religion, only when it comes to vaccines. They have it. They can kneel on a football field and pray like Coach Kennedy did in Washington State. They can refuse to bake a cake for a gay couple, a wedding cake like Jack Phillips in Colorado. But for some reason, when it comes to the vaccine issue, they're not allowed to have religious liberty. And we obviously think that is just dead wrong.
This is a huge fight. So I'm so happy that you're here telling us about it. But I'm curious, like, what does it take? What will it take that Americans don't need any kind of exemption whatsoever? I mean, it's a simple concept of the fact that we should be able to refuse having something injected into our bodies. Is there a way? What is the path to that? How do we get rid of the need for exemptions entirely?
I'm so glad you brought that up, because we here at We the Patriots USA are actually working on those efforts as well. And who knows, maybe you can help us. You know some people in Congress. We're trying to get our bill before key members of Congress, like Senator Johnson and Marjorie Taylor Greene, other people that have shown support for this position, to amend the Civil Rights Act of 1964 to make it illegal to discriminate against any person on the basis of their vaccination status, their health status. And actually, we have it worded, your refusal or your acceptance of any medical product or device, etc., cannot be used to discriminate against you. Because we've actually seen cases where parents want to use alternative medicine, alternative treatments, holistic treatments, and CPS goes after them and takes their children. We do medical kidnapping work as well here at We the Patriots USA. We actually got 4 children back home who were, in our opinion, stolen from their parents in Missouri because they were using an alternative treatment. So actually, we're trying to make it illegal to discriminate against any person for refusing something like a vaccine or for using their own alternative treatments. And if we got that amended, the infrastructure is already there. So for instance, in the workplace, the EEOC is an agency that's already funded, right? So they would already be able to enforce it. So along with race, color, religion, sex, national origin, which are already the classes that are in the Civil Rights Act, and in particular Title VII, which protects against employment discrimination, we would just be adding health status, 2 words, and then defining health status to include your vaccination status. We've already written a draft bill. I've already been shopping it to congressmen and senators, and we are hoping to get some traction if we can get this introduced and get some hearings on this. That would completely eliminate mandates everywhere in the country. Never again would there be a health mandate.
That would protect students as well, not just employees?
Yes, right. Because it would amend every single section, Title II, public accommodations, Title VI, which includes colleges and universities, Title VII, which includes places of employment. And Title II, also public accommodations, includes retail establishments. So no more show us your vaccine card, or you can't, enter our restaurant because you're not wearing a mask. That would be eliminated too.
In hospitals, because that's a huge
Yes.
problem. Yeah. Okay.
Unless
So,
they carved out
I
an
saw,
exception like they
right.
did in Idaho. So where I am in Idaho, they passed the Idaho Medical Freedom Act in April of this year, which actually precedes what Florida did. I love what Governor DeSantis and Dr. Ladapo are doing. They're awesome. We love them. They're our friends. But at the same time, Idaho was first. Nobody talks about it. We actually passed the Medical Freedom Act, which banned all vaccination mandates for school and workplaces in the state. The only thing is it did carve out an exception for hospitals. And
Yeah.
obviously we don't like that. But we're working on making it even stronger for the next legislative session. But the bill to Congress would be huge because that would protect all 50 states. I don't think only Idaho and Florida and places like that should be protected. All 50 states should be protected.
I agree. And there's a petition on your website where people can sign. Do you know how many signatures you've had on that petition so far?
So, unfortunately, because of the shadow banning and the censorship, which you're no stranger to, we don't, I think at last checked, it was only around like 10,000. We're hoping this explodes. If we got this shared everywhere, and again, I'm not going to put you on the spot, but if you or people could help share that petition, that would be great. Because we really should have, honestly, there are millions of people in this country that agree with us. I would say, actually,
Yeah.
I would venture to say the majority of people don't like the idea of mandates, don't want the government mandating something be put in our body.
Brian, I can no longer hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, now I can hear you. Okay, great.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
No.
We only have a couple more minutes. Let's get through this.
Yeah. Yes. Well, okay. So tell everybody, we all need to sign the petition. We need to go from 10,000 to 100,000 signatures. I'm going to pester my friends. I don't have very many in Congress, but I will alert them to this bill, and we will be watching with bated breath to see what the Supreme Court does. How long do you think it will take before we know if the Supreme Court is going to consider this?
Well, this is an emergency petition, so this should not be very long. I'm hoping for a decision, honestly, within the next week. This is not something that should drag on for months, like a normal cert petition could drag on for months or even a year or more. This isn't like that. This is emergency, so I would expect it to be very, very soon. I encourage everyone to stay in touch with us. You can sign up for our email list so that you can subscribe and get updates. We're also on Twitter at WT Patriots USA and Facebook, We the Patriots USA. So we try to give our followers immediate, instant updates. As soon as we have word from the Supreme Court, we'll give those updates. And if anyone is able to support us, we are a nonprofit. So all of the legal work we do, Dr. Bowden, is 100% free of charge. We don't charge our clients a penny for any of these services. We rely exclusively on the generosity of our supporters.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Brian. And sorry for all the tech problems. We will be watching this case, and I will be updating everybody as soon as we know anything. So thanks so much for joining us. We're going to go to a break. And when we come back, we will talk to Brooke Jackson and Warner Mendenhall and their efforts to take down Pfizer. We'll see you after the break.